Okay, a bit of background in terms of where I work this stuff. I coach Tempe men's club. I've been with the club forever, 30 years, and I can't sort of leave them. They're sort of like an extended family that you can't get rid of. But I'm passionate about it, and I want to work my skills as a coach. So with Eagle Impact, I mean, we're an all-star program, and we're looking at players all year, but we don't actually get in the way of the club seasons, and we come in a window of training in July, June, July, right, when the clubs are done, and we get players to play, and we'll go play Spain and Portugal this year at under 19 level. And people may think that Spain's not a rugby nation, a soccer nation, but they're getting good at rugby in a hurry. Because I played them in 2016 and we lost by a conversion this past year to be 40-something and 20-something in 2 games, 4 days apart. So Spain's getting really good. We take under 19s there. We'll take under 16s and 17 boys to play in Ireland. We're looking to launch our girls and take our girls to Ireland for the first time. And when we go to Ireland, we play the Irish provinces that I grew up with Ulster and Connacht and Munster and Leinster. So we played 3 out of the 4 provinces. And those experiences really accelerate the development of players because they get a taste of a style of rugby and a speed of rugby that they're not accustomed to. So the biggest takeaway from Spain and Portugal, we went at the end of June, and everybody had to be vaccinated, and we all got on the plane, and we were, I think, one of the only teams to leave. The national sevens were going at the time, but we were certainly the only age grade team going out of the country. The Spanish trained through COVID. They were ready, and we had played at nationals. Most of our players were starring at the national championships. A really good squad of players. A lot of them had represented the US at under 18 and or were about to represent the USA, and they were just caught totally deer in the headlights because the Spanish did a couple of things, right? In defense, they brought line speed. The tackle assist didn't release, so they slowed down our ruck, got in position, and just fired off the line at us. So they put us under a ton of pressure. And we didn't get fastball in the front foot, which is the holy grail of attack, right? Going forward, fastball, right? Of course, you mentioned the holy grail, and the kids look at you like, what's the holy grail? Well, they don't ask, but they're just like, what? You know? And that's what you want, right? And so we never got that. So we talked to the referees, and it's always, you're whining, you're complaining because you lost again. No, it's not. We had good dialogue. The Spanish referee was good, spoke English. We said, could you have the tackle actual release? The tackler was going to ground, and he was holding just that split second while the choke tackler, the tackle assist, had the ball carrier up here, right? So as he was going to ground, you want to see that separation, don't you? You hope, right? So that we can then get placement. And a lot of it was our issues. We weren't cleaning out the threat, the tackle assist should have been taken out. But we were more combative in the second game, but the score remained the same. So the speed of the game, we weren't used to. It was fast, right? When Spain got the ball, they moved it fast. They're on the front foot. It's the same in Ireland. And then we struggled to get our attack going because we couldn't get quick ball over the gain line, right? You know that story, right? So. From experience, so when we install attack, we're probably getting off a plane and we're playing in 3 days. Now, if we get them in a winter camp, like the past winter camps, we had winter camps for boys 07, 8s, 9s, and we had a 2010 on there. I don't know why, but it's there. And then we had all girls camp, and then we had 05, 06 boys, under 16s. Under 17s. Then we had 03s, 04 boys, which are seniors or juniors, or So, and then we travel as almost like soccer teams would, under 19s, under 18s. We go with those birth years internationally. So 06s play 06s internationally, or 07s or whatever, right? So that's a bit of background. So we have to install this pretty quick. I think COVID taught us that we could get We can get ahead of the game by getting players engaged in learning stuff before they actually hit the ground, so they know this stuff. I was talking to fly half from Houston, right, and he knows this. So I'm quizzing him to say, because if your fly half doesn't know it, God help us, right? So, and it shouldn't just be one. There's a soccer academy in Spain called Tovo, T-O-V-O, and their motto is to develop intelligent soccer players. And I thought, whoa, that's a great concept. We want intelligent rugby players, right? Right? Can we outthink teams? Can we adjust? Can we change our attack, our defense? Can we make modifications and not have them look at you to fix their problems? Right? Which is empowerment, which is another delivery I'm going to do at the end of today. Player empowerment, which is a way that, it's very direct, hands-on install, but at some point you facilitate, and then when the game's going on, we're not in the field, so it's their game. So you want to get that player ownership really quickly in terms of what you're trying to do, and believe in what you do. So is it okay to say to a team, hey, we're gonna try this, and because I think it's the way we could go, and say, are you on board with it? Do you want to give it a try, right? None of this stuff will happen automatically. There's going to be error, and then you get it right? And then there's going to be errors again, right? But if you don't work at it, how are you going to get it right? Why do we practice? Where are we going to make mistakes? Make them in practice. But tolerate mistakes, providing they're switched on. There's non-negotiables, right? In terms of, hey, you ready to practice? Get your leaders, call the boys in, girls in. Hey, it's practice time. Put all your worldly problems on the side, on the shelf. It's time to have fun and focus in on the team, right? Do we do that? Do we have to do that? Sometimes 10 minutes in, I have to do it because the men are dropping the ball all over the place because nobody switched on. Switch on, otherwise we never get those minutes back, do we? So purposeful practice, plan it, install it in bits, try pieces of it. But let's see what you think here. Why do we have an attack structure here? Or why do we have it? To create organization. The game flows from being structured to unstructured, chaotic, back to structure again, back to this flow from chaos and all over the shop. And some players love chaos, and you want players who can be very good in chaos. Do you know what I mean? Defenders, the ball's kicks, but like kick tennis, next thing, it's all over the place. Good attacking, natural ball runners will weave in and out of a dog-leg defense, won't they? Like, oh yeah, some are chasing, some are not chasing, and then they're slalom skiers, right? They're just going up the field making it look so easy, right? So you need to have organization. Now, some players operate very well under structure and feel very safe, like a blanket, right? But when it gets unstructured, they're nervous. Like if you're playing a 1-3-3-1 and you put a player on the edge, and he loves to run in a pod of 3 because he feels like that's his safety net, right? That's the wrong player to put on the edge, isn't it? Because they're going to feel naked out there, exposed, like, oh my God, what did I do out here? Well, you're out there to go have fun when you get the ball. Just, if you're forward, just carry strong, be a threat, hold defenders of your lines. So you're going to have to move your personnel around. And then I said a mental map of possibilities. The number of years you coach, right? If you don't freshen things up and challenge yourself, how do you keep it fresh? Isn't this a game that, in your coaching journey, is like you play and you think it's awesome, and then you get into coaching, and I thought it was coaching and it wasn't really coaching because I was a player coach for a lot of years, and then you begin to open up to this and think, oh really? And okay, well, your coaching career is like a playing career. You're getting better, aren't you? And aren't you targeting to get better at what you do? And all the different components of coaching, the player relationships, dealing with maybe the stuff off the grass, to get ready on the grass, and then the whole journey that you're on. I think it's fascinating. I mean, I think rugby is such a multifaceted sport that you can never really achieve that optimum as a player or as a coach. It's a journey, right? So do you enjoy the journey? Or is the journey draining every last piece of blood out of you? Because the players will do that, right? And if the players, if they look to us for solutions all the time, we haven't let the reins loose, right? A win's a collective win, right? A loss is a collective loss. It shouldn't be on you. Many times have you gone home after a loss and taken a lot of that burden on yourself? Yeah, we would do things different. What are the players thinking about? Hey, where's the party tonight? What are we doing, right? Like, where's the ownership, right? Okay. Principles attack. When I was first introduced to this, way back doing the coaching courses, it seemed like an academic journey, and was it really practical? But how do you process, as the game's going on or as practice is going on, how do you process what's on the field? Do you look at the quality of possession? Do you check that box? Do you check the box on attacking space? Do you check the box on support? Do you look at continuity? Are we applying pressure? Are we getting in the right parts of the field? Where are we playing? Because if I don't have that checklist in my head, I could be running down rabbit holes all over the place and not addressing anything in any sequence in my mind, right? By the way, anybody that wants this will get it, a copy of this. So, and you want your players to think this way. Principles of play, right? Guys, hey, how's our attack? My club Tempe opened up last week, so first 20 minutes of chaotic nightmare, dropping the ball, blind, couldn't tackle anything. They straightened it up slowly but surely, so you have to be patient. So what's our possession like? It's good. We haven't scrummed. We never have enough at practice for a full scrum, so that was going to be like, oh my God, what's going to happen? They were equally as bad, so the scrum stayed up and it was safe. We got the ball in, we got the ball away. We went with a 3-man line out because our hookers can't throw. So our scrum halves throw, and we went with 3 with a forward in the scrum half pocket, but at the back to cover the overthrow, and also to step in, and so we passed behind him. We ran 2 forwards off the 10. We ran them off the 9 first, so the tail guy could join them to make 3. But we had to change that because the big prop, who's a lovely runner, can't catch the ball from the scrum half, so we had to then play off 10. And then we had 2 in the wide channel, so we had players that could attack different parts of the field, right? We were getting the ball at halftime, so how's the ball? How's it go forward? Well, we don't have any go forward because they're dropping the ball. What's your support like? Well, there wasn't any support because we dropped the ball, because there was no continuity because we dropped the ball, right? So it's like, if we catch the ball, we're winning the ball. If we catch the ball and go forward, I think we'll be okay. So they ended up, they won 33 to 15, and they got better, but use this whole mindset. Okay, check, possession was good. We didn't have a problem with that. We had a problem with everything else, but so. How do you break up the field? And why would you want a field map? Because you don't really go into the game and say, well, we're in zone A and we're in channel 1, top left part of the field. But it is a map, and it will allow you to orientate yourself as to what you want to do, particularly with your starter plays, and whether you just want to split it into your half and the opposing half. I went with 3 channels at one point, but I think the 4 channels are more important. And one of my pet peeves is that number 9s at rucks here and here don't attack these blind sides. How many players can make a blind side attack or a narrow side attack successful? You could attack with 2-on-2, 3-on-3. The odds are good. And a lot of teams will reverse the ball back in here and narrow the field. And the fields are already narrow if you play in football fields. So why wouldn't you use width? Use the full width of the field. If you're going to go same way attack, and you come out of here, and you attack here, you want to go here to go here, because what's that going to do to defenders? It's going to make them shift, right? It's almost a mirror game, isn't it? Yeah, you come from here, your forwards fold, we have to fold on defense, we fold again, we have to fold again on defense to stop that, right? So at some point, it's all about going to space where the defense don't really want to go, or maybe aren't fit enough to go, right? So, you know, what's your forte? What's your strengths? Are you a small team? Do you want to play fast? Do you want to play quick? Do you play with width? Or do you just want to, knock the door down, bash the door down, right? And carry strong. And you look at the obviously the high school game and the college game, and you look at international games, and we love it as a spectator, but you study them. And if you look at the way the French played the All Blacks, right? They could do everything in that game. They could smash you right off pick and goes. They sucked in. There's a clip with New Zealand where there were 10 New Zealanders in the frame, and none of them were in defensive shape. They were all over the shop, and there were 4 Frenchmen. So what does that tell you? The French had width to their game. New Zealand got narrow, got disorganized, and the French were able to penetrate, right, and narrow the defense in, and then he could go wide at will, and then Entimac could attack out of his end zone like he's God, and didn't end up in a try, but one of the most spectacular plays in the game in a decade. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The ball came across a Wokey who just should have passed it, but carried it in. Entimac, I coached the US under-17s against Entimac when he was 16. And the scrum half that's the best scrum half in the world was sitting on the bench that day, thank God. And we had, Lucky Fotu and I placed the Cardinals on the D line, and we had Liam Jennings at USC, who will go NFL. And we were 6'4", 6'6", under 17s, and the French were bigger. And I don't know if you know Wokey, he's not playing for France at number 6. He was a kid in that game. So we saw these Entimac, and Entimac's dad was a star, but he sliced us when he was 16 with his general play. So thought, God. So how you split the field up? How do you do it? I talk about 3 speeds of ball: fast, slow, and dead. We want fast ball going forward. That's the whole intent, right? We don't necessarily want fast ball coming out of rucks going backwards. If you're going backwards, you need to put a stop to that. So fast ball, play it wide. Fast ball, flat ball, because the defense is retreating, right? They're retreating, you own them, you attack them flat, get some width, and move the ball, right? So if you're coming off, let's say, a line out here, you attack the middle, get that fast ball, you could be coming around the edge. If you had a full line out, you could be coming around the edge with 4 backs versus 3, probably 1, the full back. And if you're on the front foot, you got the upper hand, right? And what would you do with a 4th 3-1, and how you could operate that? If it's slow, we're going to play off 9 or play off 10. We call it reds off 9, whites off 10. So the forwards are expecting to fold, right? And as they fold, do I want the 9 to slow that ball down and turn fast ball into slow ball? No, because what's the issue if we turn down this pass ball, it's there and we don't move it, what's the defense doing? They're getting organized, they're getting in position, right? Right? Because the defense wants to get in position, get connected, stay connected, and move together. And we want to do the opposite of that. We want to get in position, we want to go, stay connected, and we want to move together. But it's a battle for that. So can you sort of see the difference in those? You know, I see teams where number 9's on film, and a good number 9, he's slowing down the attack because he's waiting for his forwards to fall. And I said to him, "Is that part of your strategy?" He said, "Yes." So then he goes to Spain. He can't play fastball because he's always waiting. He's been, so good player, but scrum halves should be like you dropped a piece of food. 1,000, 2,000, bang, gone. Ball's gone. They've got to be there. Once that ball hits the ground, they get 2 seconds to be there and get rid of it or run with it. And that's then you're going to have to get your 9s running cheat lines across the field where they think the action's going to be, right? So that would be, fastball is the holy grail. That's what you want, because you want defenses on the ropes, going backwards, struggling. Attack language. God, COVID, we had all our coaches get on, many conversations could we have in COVID on Zooms, right? My God, and it was nonstop. People are going crazy, right? Because they're not coaching. And it was like we had long lists, our defensive list. I would cut this even more. I would cut it down to, so like winter camps, we cut it down. Exit is common sense. You're going to get out of your own area. It's flood. And if you're making any notes, I'd write flood. I'd put spread, which is the opposite. Spread, play with width, right? Move the ball. Flood, take a channel and just go at it, right? Knock that door down. And that's your flooding. And then I get rid of Lucky because it's left, and I get Ringo's right, Lucky's left. Punch is a common language for us. That's a direct runner. And I had to remind our forwards last week, what beings are you? What do you do when you get the ball? Carry the thing. Okay, many times you get a number 12 who thinks he's like a 10. Or a ball carrier that wants to do something and do the triple skip pass. All right, secondly, just do what you're going to do first. You carry the ball and backs connect. So punch runners are direct runners. They're generally forwards, but they can be a couple of your backs. Depends what you want out of a 12. Do you want an extra 10 at 12, or do you want your ball carrier at 13? But one of your centers has got to be a decent ball carrier, right? A threat. So, and then reds, we play off 9, whites, we play off 10. So that would be the attack language that I want used in training, and I want them to constantly talk about it. Scrum halves are calling reds. I'm here, I got my head down here. Hey, red left, he's looking for forwards, he hears white, he gives it to the 10, because the white overrules the red. If the fly-off wants it, he gets it. Because his vision, he sees the field in a better position. The 9 is like an airplane landing. Once he comes in here, he's scanning. But once he realizes the picture changes, right? It's like constant pictures in your brain of what's here, where the defenders are. And when you come down here, that picture changes. Those defenders start moving, right? So you've got to trust your 10. Or your first receiver. May not be a 10. He tends to always want to insert when somebody else has got the perfect line to take the ball. And then they bump in and do me a favor, stand up here. Face that way. So let's say he's a 12 or a 13 or a 15, right? So he's got a perfect line, the ruck's there, I'm the 10, I'm king of the castle, I get every ball. What does he do? I come in here and boom. What does it do to him? Pushes him sideways. You get punch runners coming on with a great line. Where do they go? And everything goes sideways because this 10 wanted to go in there. So I'd rather you stay on the ball. You guys are direct runners. I tuck in behind, what I call a Judy line in behind, and I get into the next phase. So stop asking your number 10s, thank you, to be first receivers every time, because they can't. Because the attack goes same way, most common attack, right? You can reverse it, but they're naturally having to fold and straighten up, and if it's really quick ball, they're not going to be there. So don't use them. Get them into another support line. So they'll be a first receiver off the next ball maybe, right? So attack language. Attack line, game line, defensive line. The tackle line is not on here because this is the onside line, but the tackle line is variable, isn't it? I mean, Spain bringing line speed caused nightmares, right? If I'm rushing at you, I put pressure on you. And if the defense is connected and you're coming up with pressure, players don't react well to pressure at times and they're not used to pressure. So are you bringing pressure in training? I mean, some of this stuff will be installed on a post because the kids have got to get their heads around it and they feel comfortable with it. Then you add opposition, then you get cardboard cutout opposition, right? Then you get sort of walking pressure, then you get line speed pressure, right? And then attackers will start to back off because they want time. Now the problem here is you need a 10 that can attack the line and be comfortable with very little time and space. But if you tuck back here and I give the ball to a big runner here, and that's the D line sitting there facing, that tackle line's going to be probably here. But if I go to the line and bring a runner with me, the good news is you don't get a lot of time to react. But if I give you the ball back there, you and three of you are going to gang tackle him like rugby league. Right? It's an easy read, right? It's like the fly out that does the triple skip. All of you guys defensively just slide out. You know, it looks good, looks great. You know, look at my highlight film, my triple skip pass. Didn't hold anybody, right? So, are you talking this language? Hey, where's the tackle line? Are we lining up too deep? What about our attack line? Could we flatten up a little bit? And you get the danger if we get flat that we don't come onto the ball. Like Johnny Sexton will play flat to the line. Most times do. But they don't take a lot of steps because they're looking, right? It's catch here, step here, or here, reading what's going on here. All the power's coming from these guys with their timing onto it, right? So it's just quick, bang, boom, bang, and looking and scanning, right? Looking to see what's on. So your 10s don't. If you got a running 10, probably not the right 10. If I want 10s and distributors, well, there's going to be this. It's like a 9, right? My wife used to watch my career, so when I married her, went back to England and played, and she said, "You're always forcing the break rather than wait for it. Because as a 9, you want to go, pass, and you're watching this AB defenders, and you're looking. They get used to you. Oh, he just distributes. Then you go, right? But I had no patience. I was too stubborn. I was just going to have a crack at them anyway. So it's a bit of cat and mouse. Same with 10. There's going to be the opportunities. Because if you're distributing, the defense, and that player, he just distributes. He's not a threat, right? Lure them into that, then go, right? But if you go every time, you poor senders never see the ball, and the wing will never see the ball, right? So, there you have it. So lines. So spread attack shape. And you can play around with this, and you'll see Bristol do something different, or the All Blacks came out in 1-3-3-1. So anybody play soccer? Any soccer players? 4-4-2, right? Probably common shape, right? Most common shape in soccer, right? Because when soccer talks shape, they talk the whole team, minus the goalkeeper, right? When we talk attack shape, we're talking forwards, right? And maybe we need to change that, because then the backs don't know what the hell they're doing. You know, and they're like, well, what do we do? And then you get, so if the concept for me is that against a good defenses, we're 2 passes away from contact. If the defense is bringing some decent line speed, we're 2 passes away, right? So that second pass better be to somebody that's a good runner. And that first receiver, I'm not saying he can't run, because it could be a forward off 9 with a tip pass to another forward, which is a thing of beauty also, because you know that everybody in the country will run off 9 with a big kid and run, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if that big kid could also tip the ball to another big kid, well, oh my God, now we're getting like. And if that first receiver could go out the back, then I'm going to faint, because it doesn't happen. Right? If we can get a big forward, with a big forward here, taking a ball off 9, then he attacks the line, and he pivots, and he pops out the back to a runner in the second line of attack, I'm going to, let me know, please, because I'll pick him right away. Because it's like, it's amazing skill. It's just 2 lines of attack need to be in place all the time. And everybody wants to be in the party and join the front line. And everybody wants to be in that moment. Are you building your attack for the next phase, and the next phase, and the next phase? Right? How are you going to break them down? Now, if you break a team in the first phase, you're off to the races. You don't have to implement anything else, do you? But you know how it is. So we'll go through. So there's a typical 1-3-3-1, diagram shape. The reds are backs. You get your forwards here. We're connecting here. 1 pass, you could tip here. We can go that. It's sort of very basic, but you get the idea, right? The thing in here is to have this option in behind. This is what I call the punch and Judy options, right? Punch lines here, Judy runners in behind. And if we go here, we can go out here. We can decoy this. We can carry here and come around 1, 2, 3, 4 and attack on this side. We can carry here, wrap around here. We can do all sorts of things in this. But this allows us to play in every part of the field, right? And it also saves forwards from chasing the ball the entire game. They're usually not designed like gazelles, right? And we had a big prop from Ohio, nicknamed him F350 because he's at Kutztown. He's built just a big man. And at 18, 300 pounds, but well put together, 300 pounds. So when we played this attack with him, if we come off a line out over here, we folded into shape. I left him here, because when we reversed the ball to him inside the 22, he got the ball against somebody who probably weighed half his weight, and he loved it, big smile on his face. And I love it now. If the opposition got the ball, he probably could have danced around him. But he was very agile as well. But I didn't want to move the F350 around the field, right? Because there's only so much gas in the tank. So why would you try and run that gas out in the first 20 minutes, right? So there we go here. This is off a 4 line out here, and this is how you get into shape. So let's say we're playing off 10, we've got 8 and 3 running, and the jersey numbers don't mean anything here, it's the player, right? You line out, of course you gotta win your line out, so we're throwing to the 4, 1 and 5 are lifting, 6 is secure there to make sure we don't overthrow, coming across the field to join up with 8 or 3 carries, right? So there's our 3, right? These 3. And we may change this, maybe the F350. We want to leave him here because he can't get around the field. This player loves to run, right? He's like an extra flanker, so there's no point in saving him here. Let him go. So, but for simplicity, these 3 are coming. They're on the ground. They're coming here. They could check and stay here initially because we could reverse the ball, right? And it depends. If we get quick ball here, we're going here. Right? Now, they're folding. They're on the ground. We're coming around. 13 here, we get a 7. We're probably going to send that 7 in a punchline between these two outside defenders to hold those defenders. And then we could have 13 carry, 7 hit that line, 15 in behind down to 14. Right? So I have those wide runners run punchlines. And if you want to watch good punchlines, watch Rugby League. Right? Because it's simple and everybody knows they're running. They're either decoyed, you give them the ball, or you don't give them the ball. But when you don't give them the ball, our kids don't know what to do. Like it's like they're like, oh, you didn't give me the ball, so they just like, where do I go next? So where do you go? And also, a lot of teams in high school and in club level, these guys did their work. They hold. They make this group do double duty and go work over here instead of, okay, you're in the grind. You'll get up, get back in the game. While you're getting back in the game, I'm going this way. So those threes rotate, right? Now, if your edge player is a really good player and he's not seeing the ball, you might want to move him into one of the threes because they'll see more ball, right? Don't put your best player out there totally and then you see the ball once. But then you don't need a complete waste of time on the outside either because that's nothing, no threat either. So you got to pick the players for the shape that you want. And that shape may not appeal. So on a kick receive, and again, very, very simplistic here. You could layer these players this way, that way. You could make a triangle +1. You could put a big wing in here to catch the ball. But generally, you get 4 forwards on one side, 4 forwards on the other side. Because to retain the ball, you need a ball carrier +2. Maybe I'll have a kick-off ball carrier +3. So if that's contact, right? So meanwhile, that's 4 invited to that party. So nobody else needs to go there. Except the 9, right? Now, my generation, everybody lined up here. All the forwards here and all the backs here, right? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But then you're going to have to start dragging forwards across the field, aren't you? Whereas with this, if they kick receive here, they drop. If you want to get in, you could play with 2, but your policy is ball carrier +2 in contact. So God knows that back would have to go into a ruck, and that may not be a good thing. And back never goes into rucks. That's the clean jersey type. So you could play 4-channel 2-2-2-2. That could be your attack shape. But then your duty player in behind would have to hit the ruck. It's worth trying. Because it's quite funny at times because they're like, oh, they want to go here. Yeah, they're not going here, that stuff. Right? So you can, but 4 forwards over there, they collect the ball, right? We come in here, I think my next slide may show this, where we go. There we go, so 4 receive on the left, scrum half's in behind, fly half's there, right? 3 migrate in here, we leave 1 here. Now, who you leave here, sometimes it's the laziest guy, or you'll get 4 of them. This is where they have to communicate. Amazing skill, right? Talk on the move. Right, the kick's going over there. Hey, you 2 with me. Come on, we're going. Let's find the 10. Hey, you stay, right? And then there'll be silence, and silence is chaos, right? So there you're playing off 10. Nice power position to be in here. 3 runners coming on, going to bust the door down, right? Decoy this guy at the back, we can go wide on them, right? And if they chase with all their forwards over here, this is going to penetrate, right? So you can play around with that kick receive. Now, flood attack concept. You're just going to take a piece of the field and you're just going to literally bust the door down. It doesn't have to be pretty, it's just power. I mean, this is what the game, right? You've got players that play the game that love to take on people. I was going to say run into people, but attack the space. There'll be somebody there to knock over, but don't run into. Like, I've seen players that want to run into you, but there's a giant space here, so they just, excuse my language, fuck that, I'm going here. No, attack the space. That defender will come in and hand them off. So, but, the flood attack is, so let's say coming off the center scrum, center middle of the field scrum here. Let's say you get a 12 carrying, or even the 8 carry. God knows the 12 and end. Somebody get a ruck here. 4, 5, 6 are flooding. 1, 2, 3 are flooding. If there's no room, then 1, 2, 3 could come back on the inside. But if there is a blind side with the idea that you use the full width of the field, use the full width of the field. Don't turn the ball back, because where are they going to defend? They're going to come here. They're going to have to come here. They don't necessarily want to go there, do they? In numbers. Does their front row want to end up defending our front row over here? Probably not, right? Okay, so we're trying to drag defenders over here to narrow the defense. If we can narrow the defense when we bring the ball back, then we got something on, right? And your forwards love to flood because they get the ball, right? They like to run in tight spaces, and they just go have fun. It's a feeding frenzy for them. Let them do this. When they flood, the goal is that they penetrate and they run and they offload and they score and they meanwhile, because you need that flood to continue, what are your backs going to do during that flood? And what's your 7-8 going to do? They're going to get ready for what's coming next. Let's see if I got it. So what would happen is, let's say we got it out here. We could play off 9 with a red, hit again, and 10 would step in here. We'd go with 7-8. Meanwhile, we'd have our backs reloaded. So the idea is, if this isn't successful, do double duty here, play off the 10 with this good runners, play out the back to 12, 13, 15 wing. Right? But every stage, it's not programmed to play through all those stages. It's programmed that if you're running as the 4, 5, 6, or you're running as an initial ball carrier, get as far upfield as possible. Go score. Right? Freedom to go score at any point in time in this. We don't need to go through all these phases. Worst case scenario, right? These guys do all the work. We bring the ball right across the field and he drops it. All for nothing, right? But still. So getting into folding shapes, and I've changed this since I drew this up. So 3 forwards folding, right? And notice the line of the fold. Forwards will take a long way. They'll go around Cape Horn to get there. So as a coach, you need to stand here and say, fold in front of me. There's the ruck, fold in front of me. So you force them to get around and square up. Once they square up, then the 9 wants to give them the ball when they're running sideways. When they square up, then they're in a position to get the ball. If I'm going this way, I'm not a threat to you. Once they square up, now I'm ready to go. Right? Remember, this is slow ball attack, so the fast ball didn't happen. Right? So rather than send the 2 here, I'm more inclined to send the 2 here, and then have the 3, who's the last to arrive, as an option here, because I want to get this player wide. Why do you think I want that player wide? It could vary that width, but generally, why would you want them wide? How many defenders are going to be inside there? Say 3. So if you get outside the C defender, right? The pass from the number 9 would take out the A and B. Right? And if the scrum half takes a step, which is a good and bad thing, they could hold the A and B just initially to hit, and that pass will beat those 2 defenders, right? So immediately you're getting outside that inside defense. If A or B are not in place, then just hit the channel and 9 can pick and go, right? But given that the defense is set, it is slow ball, defense had time, they're there, they're organized, then you're going to have to play off 9 with the red. All right? So that's a tip shape because 2 can get the ball in tip of the 1 or go out the back to 3. So let's see, this should.
Good line, good decision. Come on.
Defense sucked, but and he drops it. So here we are, we're trying to install this attack. They're sort of getting used to it. Let's see if I can play it again here for you.
Good line, good decision. Come on.
The defense got a little bit better there, so you see we're trying to come around with the wide attacker inside. We're trying to get that triangle shape, and it needs a lot of work, right? And but if you look at the first clip here, this defender goes sideways because he expects the ball to go out the back. He turns in, these 2 commit to this player, this first receiver. If he had stayed square, then it would go out the back, but right now he's turned in, so boom. And this is Pattinson's at Army, West Point. These guys have all moved on from high school and doing great things. So that's the tip option, so that was installed, yeah?
Your receiver out that's going wide is 7 yards back compared to the first 2. Do you want them that deep?
No, I want them as flat as they're comfortable playing.
Okay.
When you create that triangle shape, particularly if it's a forward passing at the back, your triangle can be quite small, right? But if you think of attack in basketball or attack in soccer or attack in rugby, it's all geometric shapes, right? It's all triangles. If you can work triangles, or if you can work offset, what do you call an offset rectangle?
Thomas.
You get a box and you tweak it. Here's the box and it goes that way. What do we got? 15? 10? 10, okay.
Seriously.
All right, so sphere is very common and folding forwards get very comfortable with it. Probably in the cold here in Wisconsin, I'd be comfortable with it because you're nice, tight, close. And you can get some heat up each other. But you have a designated attacker, 1, 2 gets his outside hip to protect, and 3 goes on the inside. So that's the most common, folding shape you'll see, right? And as the players come around, they'll talk to the scrum and say, hold it, yes, sphere. But the players in behind, I'll say now, and getting them to communicate that is another thing, right? Getting them in this shape is like, if they're not talking on the move, they're not talking. I've also progressed and I haven't put it into a flat 3 with the outside player up. So the 9 has the option of going to the 1 on the outside based on what he's reading the ABC defenders. D even, where are they going? C's turning in, hit the 1 wide, C's turning out, B's turning whatever. You hit whoever's open, right? Okay. So that's a flat 3. So here, this is us at Army a few years ago. We went to West Point to prep before we went to Ireland, and actually, the big guy who took the first ball was actually the captain at West Point Army. And in those days, he didn't even know he was going there. But it sort of worked well for Sherman. The other big guy plays for Navy there as well. So they're probably arch enemies, right? And Moscone plays at Army. So we go there, and he's a sophomore at the time, and next thing they're all there. And so that's how it's sphere, and you can see we've got issues with it, right? We're not very good at it here. We're dropping the ball, that sort of thing, right? But we have to learn it. So making the 9 come on to it. So this is just a spear shape. And because the big concern we had with the Irish was that they're going to choke us in the tackle, they were going to chop and choke, double team. They'll go in low, first man low, second man here, and our big boys run high. So we had to get them to get there and actually take out the Irish and not let them choke us. So it was a big concern. We actually did a pretty decent job when we got there. Here's our flood transition. We went, this was coming off that scrum, we went right side flooded, came back to 10 with a 7-8 offshoot went out the back wide. So I've gone over that. What if you're in a spread shape, 1-3-3-1, then suddenly it all grinds to a halt? You're not going forward? Then can you collapse into a flood and just call the cows in, right? Hey, 3 out there, 3, come in, leave your ones, come in, and then hit off that to try and get the go forward again, so that you can transition from one to another. I had some starter plays. Really, that's another topic. I'm gonna finish there. If you want this, you can get it from me. My email address is eagleimpactrugby@gmail. eagleimpactrugby@gmail, and I'll happily send it, PDF of this to you or whatever. And I'll talk rugby all day for you, but so. Questions? What do you guys gotta have something? Where are you with attack shapes? Do you yeah?
Okay. My thought has always been, regardless of where the ball is on the field, regardless of the situation, if you have 4 players there, regardless of their position.
So you want a ball carrier +3 in attack, right? Yeah.
In that vicinity. So what that means is once let's say a player who is not supposed to be there recognizes that he should get there, it kind of messes up other things somewhat. But when people start to realize what's going on, I think then you get a lot more cohesion. People fill in. They say, okay, he went there, I have to fill in.
Yes.
So you get the
interchangeable.
You're trying to get them to become better players to recognize I need to be there.
Mm-hmm. There is a danger that they become robotic.
Yes, that's.
And this is like, this is where you need to make up numbers. If you're carrying the ball and the shape is disintegrated, because it'll disappear, then it's always have the ball carrier +2 would be my policy, so that you play rugby, and if in doubt, go forward. Just carry the ball, go. And then if we get in the shape, we get in the shape. If we don't, then it's the whistle will go, and we're back into the starter shape. But yeah, good point. You remember the very first thing I said is talking about structure and unstructured, right? If you're too structured, you choke them out of their creativity,
Yes.
right? If you're too unstructured, it's like a touch game on a beach. It's all over the shop, right? There are players that are good at both. There's players that feel uncomfortable when it's chaotic, and there's players that thrive in chaos, right? And the game will flow. But if you don't have any structure in your game, there's nothing to fall back on, right? And there's nothing that you have to trust it. It's the largest team sport that I know of, and again, 15 on 15, right? So, and we have to cover a lot of field, a lot of space. Now, there's times we get really condensed, where we're all in half the field in attack, and half the field in defense. Do we ever transition, or do we just stay in that flooded shape? How do we get width back in? It should be fluid. Like I said, the soccer players, 4-4-2 is an initial shape to start with, but then they're often pushing up center outside midfielders and it becomes a 4-2-4, or they push up, outside defenders and leave 2 back. It goes in, it morphs into different stuff. So when you kick off, you're 2-2-2-2, then it goes into maybe a 4-3-1 or a 4-2-2, or it becomes a 1-3-2-2. Do the math. It can be all sorts of different combinations, right? And it can be a mixture of backs and forwards. But I think you have to really get your backs working hard off the ball. So if I'm connecting you three to three here, boom, I'm done. Right, I'm folding. There's another guy ready to receive the ball out there. I'm getting into that second layer of attack. If I was to leave you with something, please install 2 layers of attack into the high school game. Right? It doesn't exist. And everybody else is using it. Right? Kids will do it. A good friend of mine, Bart Botto for Penn High School, said to a couple of years ago, you get an influx of different players and his attack could change. And Bart said, I'm not comfortable with it. He said, we played this way, it's really worked out. I said, Bart, you can stick to that. But why not try it, right? You know, do you have players? I mean, players want to have fun, right? Right? And so challenge yourselves. Play around with it. And if you're going to stick with it, like working with a team in season, you're working on bits of this all the time. Because you got to do the flip side of it, because you got to get the defense sorted out, right? Right? So, any other questions?
Do you use your center to communicate to your first receiver? Especially, we have the on-com with the blitz defense. So you may get your ball out quick, which is great, and then you want to go wide, which is great.
And they shut it down.
But then so that way you have someone communicating to that first receiver. Okay, maybe we do a rainbow pass, right, wide and boom.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's when you do a kick pass.
If there's an edge, I think all the information should come from the outside in. I mean, the wing. If they see the wing will often be in a position where their defense is narrowed and their wing is actually blitzing in, coming up hard on, say, the 13, right? Then you could get a ball over the top and you get a kick pass. But the communication needs to come from everywhere. Outside in, don't rely, the 10 can't see everything, right? Forwards run the outside of you, that if you want the ball early, just tell, hey, give me the ball earlier, right? Tip it. Hey, if you're in that Judy spot out the back and you see the defense, like it's the first receiver hears that Judy call in EIRA, he automatically trusts it and he gives it. Because that player sees something that he didn't, right? And then you could be on the right side and you're telling the 9, hey, attack left, which he may not have been thinking about. So he's getting information from this side. Sometimes 9s will react to the loudest voice. I don't blame him. I want the ball left. Okay, I'm going to give you the ball. Right? Maybe the ball should have gone right. So get your communication sorted out. Because if the communication isn't there, nothing. There's going to be a lot of issues on the field. Period. They're not talking, right? Okay. Then on pieces of this, there's going to be error, like the player empowerment piece that I'll do later today, and they'll get frustrated with it, right? So we brought our girls into camp and we're installing this 1-3-3-1, right? And a lot of girls never played 15th, right? And there's a girl from Connecticut, she's 8th grade last winter, and she's looking at me like she was like a zombie, and I'm like totally confused, right? Just like brain was frazzled. She came back this winter camp. She's not a 9th grader. She's a leader, and she's telling girls, "Hey, follow me, come with me." And it's really great to see that kids are open to learning. The older you get, sometimes the old dog may not want to learn a new trick, right? So I think to keep you in the game, it's a fascinating game to coach, isn't it? There's always a challenge in terms of how you coach it, the methods that you use to coach, your style of coaching. So anyway, it's great to get in front of you. I really appreciate your time. To have it here in Wisconsin and the coldest day I've ever experienced in my life. We look at the window because we live in Phoenix, right? And
It doesn't even get cold yet.
Yeah, that's snow. When's the last time you saw snow, Brett?
5 years ago.
Yeah, because it will never snow in Sydney. But but to have this summit here and to have the guys organize this and have such a great facility and to have you to take your time here, I'm hoping there's something you can walk away with. I'll probably be drinking a beer quietly tonight, so if you want to talk to me with or without a beer, I'm happy to. Because I want to help and I want to learn, and we're always seeking mentors. I remember Pat Lamb, who now coaches Bristol, and he was starting off in his coaching career, and he was actually with Scotland at the time, and I cornered him in San Francisco for the Eagles were playing Scotland, and I spent about 20 minutes with him, and it's probably, I'll never forget those 20 minutes just spending time with him. I was also fortunate to be coached by the likes of Jim Greenwood at Loughborough University, who wrote Total Rugby. If you ever read that book, it was written back in the 80s, but it's a brilliant mindset. He played 15-man rugby back in the day when you're lucky if you played 10-man rugby, you know. So I was fortunate to be around really good coaches and good minds that helped me along, and you're in a really great position to. You're in the front line to help kids fall in love with the game. Number one, right? By your care and your passion for the game is infectious, and hopefully we have people that come along and stick with the game and enjoy their playing careers, become coaches, become moms and dads, and get their kids in the game, and then we're growing the game, right? So our mission with EIRA is to build the next generation, not just the cream of the crop, because I love that group, but it's the average kid that loves the game. You respect that effort and that commitment to the game, because effort and commitment doesn't cost money or it doesn't have talent, right? So, give them all your attention, and hopefully they continue to play. And if they don't, get them in the referee, for goodness sake. Right? Don't we need refs? Yeah. I know it seems like if somebody said to you in your playing days, "Hey, I think you should become a ref," you're probably saying, "F you, right? I don't want to be a ref. Why would I want to do that, right?" But I can see the pipeline for referees. There's quite a lot of opportunity. You don't have to be really that good to accelerate pretty quickly. I'm telling you, because we really need them, don't we? College coaches, right? And please don't abuse them, because I've done my fair share of that. Because we need more of them, and we want their day to be good. I always say to the referee, "Hey, how can we help you? If you have an issue on the field, talk to this guy. If you have to blow your whistle, it's because we're not doing what we should be doing." Right? So, last point, but I know there's issues in every state, right? Issues of coaching as well. Are you getting assistance? Are you on your own? You're getting people to commit to it, because it's a pretty thankless job at times, right? It takes up a lot of time, effort, and you commit to it. But appreciate what you do. I think that's it. Thank you.